Loki. He was painted as a wounded boy in an adult's body that always felt like he was in Thor's shadow. Because of this, he started doing mischievous things meant to undermine him. Then when he found out he wasn't even Asgardian by blood, and through it Odin's trickery, he went rogue and turned truly villainous. Ragnarok might have one believe that he started actually turning good, but the reality, he wasn't really pure evil either. He had a way of doing fairly good things when those he cared about were threatened, as much as he didn't want to admit he cared about him. In the end, he did care for all he claimed not to. He just couldn't understand how to function between never feeling as good as the person next to him and having his identity stripped from him. Loki didn't ever fully change, was because aside from being given the worst reason to change, Thor calling him out on his crap and then leaving him to be tortured via his control chip for who knows how long, he still took the Tesseract at the end and only revealed it when Thanos threatened Thor's life. In that moment, it was revealed Loki's true nature. He still did things behind other people's backs, clearly for his own benefit, but when backed into a corner, he was willing to give it up to save one he cared about. So it's not that he turned good from evil, it's that he never truly was evil and was never truly good. Jaime Lannister. Jaime is introduced as the handsome knight in shining armor, famous for his skills in swordplay, but his golden flowing hair hides something more sinister. We soon learn that Jaime is not only a kingslayer but also engaged in an incestuous relationship with his twin sister Cersei, all before pushing Bran Stark off of a tower, paralyzing him. It's no surprise that Jaime quickly becomes one of the most despised characters in Game of Thrones. At the start, Jaime at his lowest point. He hates guarding Robert. He sees him as a bloated drunk who is unworthy of his sister. If he could marry Cersei and live openly with her, he would do so in a heartbeat. His actions are brazen and unchecked. Despite attacking Ned Stark and committing regicide, he faces no consequences due to the immense power of House Lannister. But Game of Thrones takes this subversion one step further by stripping Jaime of all his power. As his external trappings grow further away from those of the traditional chivalric knight, his internal values grow closer to one. Jaime's golden flowing hair turns gray and short, and he trades out his golden armor for plain, gray attire. Even when he is physically weak and defenseless after losing his sword hand, he puts his life on the line for Brienne. He negotiates Brienne's release and risks his own life to protect her, marking the first time he's ever put someone else's needs ahead of his own. Through his meeting with Brienne, Jaime reveals that despite his cruel actions, his greatest crime of kingslaying was actually a heroic act. Jaime reveals that he did so to save the population of King's Landing after King Aerys gave the order to burn down the entire city. Humbled by trauma, he begins to embrace the ideals of true knighthood, honor duty, and selflessness. Despite being unable to fight as he once did, he remains loyal to his vows as a Kingsguard and assists Brienne in her quest to find and protect Sansa and Arya Stark. His growing distance from Cersei and his eventual love for Brienne symbolize his internal transformation. When he learns of Cersei's betrayal. While she publicly pledges to ally with Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen against the White Walkers, he abandons her and rides north, choosing honor over family and proving that the man he once was is not the man he has become. Dr. Octopus. At the beginning of the film, Otto Octavius is a brilliant yet kind-hearted scientist who serves as both a mentor and an inspiration to Peter Parker. He dreams of creating a renewable energy source through nuclear fusion, using artificially intelligent mechanical arms to assist in his experiment. However, when the experiment fails, catastrophically killing his wife and permanently fusing the arms to his body, everything changes. The AI within the arms designed to assist and think independently begins to influence his mind, suppressing his conscience and driving him toward obsession. Otto, once a man of reason and integrity, becomes Dr. Octopus, a ruthless criminal willing to do anything to complete his experiment, even if it means harming others. Throughout the film, Peter tries to reason with Otto, reminding him of the man he once was. At first, Otto refuses to listen, fully consumed by his ambition and the influence of the arms. However, in the final act, after Spider-Man unmasks himself and appeals to his humanity, Otto begins to see the truth. He realizes that his creation has become a danger to the city and that his relentless pursuit of power has cost him everything. The Evil Queen, Regina Mills. At the start of the series, Regina is the classic evil queen, cruel, manipulative, and willing to destroy anyone who stands in her way. Her hatred for Snow White drives her to cast the dark curse, ripping everyone away from their happy endings and trapping them in Storybrooke with no memory of who they truly are. As Storybrooke's mayor, she rules with fear, determined to maintain control. However, beneath her villainous exterior, Regina is deeply wounded. Her descent into darkness was fueled by heartbreak, betrayal, and years of emotional abuse from her mother, Cora. When we learn her backstory, we see that Regina was once kind and full of love, but after Snow White unintentionally caused the death of her true love, Daniel, she let vengeance consume her. Despite this, Regina's path toward redemption begins when she is forced to confront what she truly wants: power or love. Her adopted son, Henry, becomes her greatest weakness and her greatest source of change. She starts to realize that if she wants to keep Henry's love, she can't just be feared, she has to be better. Regina's journey to goodness is not immediate. She struggles between her old habits and her desire to change, often slipping back into manipulation when things don't go her way. But time and time again, she makes choices that prove her growth. One of her biggest turning points is when she gives up her claim over Henry, allowing Emma Swan to take a more active role as his mother. This selfless act is the first real step in proving she can put others before herself. Later, when Storybrooke is threatened, Regina makes the ultimate sacrifice, willing to die to stop the curse from destroying the town. Her redemption is further solidified when she works alongside the heroes, forming an unlikely friendship with Snow White and even Emma. Though she initially despises them, she learns to fight for the greater good, even when it means personal loss. The biggest test of Regina's transformation comes when she is given the opportunity to take the easy way out, removing her dark side entirely. However, instead of destroying the evil queen persona, she chooses to accept both sides of herself, showing that redemption isn't about erasing the past, but learning from it. By the end of Once Upon a Time, Regina has gone from being the evil queen who tore people apart to the ruler of the newly united realms crowned the Good Queen. Her story proves that even the most wicked can find redemption, not through magic, but through choices, love, and self-acceptance. Darth Vader. Before becoming Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker was a noble Jedi Knight, known for his bravery and skill. However, he struggled with fear and anger, especially the fear of losing his loved ones. Manipulated by Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious, Anakin was promised the power to prevent death, especially that of his wife Padme Amidala. In his desperation, he betrayed the Jedi Order, slaughtered Jedi, including younglings, and swore allegiance to the Sith, becoming Darth Vader. He became the Emperor's most feared enforcer, hunting down Jedi survivors, leading the Empire's war against the rebellion and committing numerous atrocities. He was ruthless and seemingly beyond redemption, with all traces of Anakin Skywalker buried under his mask. Years later, Vader discovered he had a son, Luke Skywalker, who had become a Jedi. Luke believed there was still good in his father and repeatedly tried to reach him. Despite Vader's initial resistance, his encounters with Luke planted seeds of doubt within him. In their final confrontation on the second Death Star, Vader dueled Luke once again. This time Luke overpowered him but refused to kill him, showing him mercy. When Emperor Palpatine unleashed Force lightning on Luke to kill him, Vader faced a crucial choice: remain loyal to the Sith or save his son. In an act of love and sacrifice, he turned on his master, lifting Palpatine and throwing him into the reactor core, killing the Sith Lord and ending his tyranny. The Emperor's lightning mortally wounded Vader. But in his final moments, he removed his mask and looked upon Luke with his own eyes. Free from the dark side, he died as Anakin Skywalker, redeemed at last. His spirit later appeared alongside Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, symbolizing his return to the light. Severus Snape, Harry Potter series. As a young wizard, Severus Snape was deeply interested in the dark arts and became involved with Lord Voldemort and the Death Eaters. His bitterness, partly due to childhood bullying by James Potter, and his friendship-turned heartbreak with Lily Evans, Harry's mother, pushed him further toward the dark path. Although Snape was a loyal Death Eater, everything changed when he learned that Voldemort intended to kill Lily, James, and their infant son, Harry. He begged Voldemort to spare Lily, but when Voldemort still murdered her, Snape was devastated. Overcome with grief and guilt, he turned to Albus Dumbledore and agreed to protect Harry in Lily's memory. From that moment on, Snape became a double agent pretending to serve Voldemort while secretly working for Dumbledore and the Order of the Phoenix. To maintain his cover, he acted cruelly toward Harry and his friends, making many believe he was still a villain. However, his true mission was to protect Harry and help bring down Voldemort. Despite his cold and harsh exterior, Snape's actions were always guided by his love for Lily. He followed Dumbledore's plans even when it meant killing Dumbledore himself to prevent Draco Malfoy from doing so. He also secretly ensured Harry was prepared for his final battle with Voldemort. The Red Woman Melisandre of Asshai, Melisandre arrives in Westeros as a devoted priestess of R'hllor, the Lord of Light. She believes Stannis Baratheon is the prophesied prince that was promised, and is willing to do anything to help him achieve his destiny. Her unwavering faith leads her to commit terrible acts, including burning people alive as sacrifices, including Lord Florent and other loyal followers of Stannis. Manipulating Stannis into following her will, using blood magic to assassinate his enemies such as Renly Baratheon. Her most horrifying act is the sacrifice of Princess Shireen Baratheon. Believing that offering royal blood will ensure Stannis' victory, she convinces him to burn his own daughter at the stake, only for Stannis to suffer defeat and death. Shortly after Stannis' failure, Melisandre flees to Castle Black, disillusioned and shaken. There, she finds a new purpose, resurrecting Jon Snow. When she successfully brings him back to life, her faith is restored, but she becomes more cautious and less zealous in her beliefs. Instead of forcing visions and prophecies, she begins to interpret them more carefully. However, she is soon exiled by Jon Snow after Davos Seaworth exposes her role in Shireen's death. Instead of fighting back, Melisandre accepts her punishment, showing the first signs of true humility and regret. She returns at the Battle of Winterfell with a clear purpose to aid in the fight against the Night King. She plays a vital role by lighting the Dothraki weapons with fire magic, strengthening the defenses of Winterfell, inspiring Arya Stark to defeat the Night King by reminding her of Syrio Forel's lesson. What do we say to the god of death? Not today. Arya ultimately kills the Night King, saving all of Westeros. Melisandre had spent years believing Stannis was the chosen one, but in the end she realizes her true purpose was to help bring about the Night King's defeat. The Hound. Sandor Clegane is a feared warrior serving the Lannisters as Joffrey Baratheon's personal bodyguard. He is violent and cold, showing little remorse for killing, but he notably refuses to kill without reason. Unlike his monstrous brother Gregor Clegane, the Mountain, Sandor has a moral code. He despises senseless cruelty. His transformation begins when he witnesses Sansa Stark's suffering at the hands of Joffrey. While others turn a blind eye, the Hound shows compassion, saving her from being assaulted by a mob and offering her a way to escape King's Landing. Though she refuses, his willingness to defy the Lannisters foreshadows his change of heart. During the Battle of Blackwater, the Hound sees the devastation caused by war and realizes he no longer wants to serve the corrupt monarchy. Disgusted by the violence and the Lannisters' cruelty, he abandons his post and flees, though he initially takes Arya Stark hostage for ransom. Their journey together changes him. He teaches her how to fight, protects her from danger, and ultimately grows fond of her. Instead of handing her over for money, he tries to reunite her with her family. His bond with Arya softens him, and by the time she leaves him for dead, he has already become a better man. After surviving his near-death experience, the Hound finds peace with a group of villagers working alongside them to build a new life. However, when they are slaughtered by outlaws, he realizes he cannot escape violence but can choose how to wield it. He joins the Brotherhood, without banners, seeking justice rather than revenge. In the final season, the Hound accompanies Arya to King's Landing but urges her to abandon her quest for vengeance, recognizing that revenge only leads to destruction. This moment cements his transformation. He no longer fights for hatred but for what is right. His last act is a battle to the death against his brother the Mountain. A lifelong source of trauma and evil, by ensuring Gregor's death, the Hound eliminates one of Westeros' greatest monsters. Knowing he won't survive, he accepts his fate, dying on his own terms.